I'm Mixer Giant, and I'm going to be saying I can do the Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry crossover, and I have some media. Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry. So one was most iconic shows and the mascots of Hanna-Barbera, and people have been wanting them to cross over for years now, so they really should do it now, especially since both of them has crossed over with literally everyone else. Tom and Jerry would be at their new owner's house, and there being a haunting there, so them getting Scooby-Doo and the gang to help them. Scooby would try to chase Tom at first, but then them being okay with each other in the end, and eat lots of food, Scooby and Saggy, and then they would stop the ghost in the end, and then it would turn out to be Spike, who Scooby was hanging out with earlier. Tom and Jerry buying with Scooby-Doo about being pets, and them being cartoon pets, and them also saying that Scooby-Doo really should be grateful for him having good owners like that rest of the gang. Tight would hang out with Toffee and Scrappy-Doo, with them buying with them being kids, and Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry buying over them loving their kids. Tom and Jerry would interact with Scooby-Doo, who was Spike because of the cat, and Mouse relationship with the dogs. And you doing some of Tom's relationship with Spike with Scooby, and Scooby hanging out with Spike because of them both hating cats, but then Scooby managing to protect Tom from Spike. Scooby and Tom and Jerry both bond over them having shows of when they were kids, and them having their usual shows, and them doing it since they were kids, and them going to be continuing doing it in the future. With Tom trying to eat Jerry, but then Scooby-Doo would stop him, and Spike would do it because as if his owners treating him badly. And the Scooby gang would also show their owners how bad they were treating Tom and Jerry, so the owners finding out their lesson in the end, and them treating Tom and Jerry and Spike better afterwards, and them also getting their revenge on Spike. By letting Scooby-Doo get his revenge on Spike, like with them even sharing some Scooby snacks afterwards, and them both bonding over them having kid and family members as them taken care of. You could also use this to show how they should do the new Wacky Races reboot, with them focusing more on the racing instead of them doing stuff other than it. With you actually showing how good Picture Perfect and Penelope Pitstop's relationship is, and you also showing the gangsters from Penelope Pitstop's show, and you also doing Dick Dastardly winning some races without cheating. With Scooby-Doo ending it with a Scooby-Dooby-Doo at the end, with Tom and Jerry ending it with them saying, and Tom and Jerry too, in the end. Some characters guest starring in these shows and movies is with them being Tom and Jerry's owners, or with them crossing over Scooby-Doo to serve an R-rated horror show for the Addams Family or the Monsters in live action, and you also doing an R-rated and live action horror or Elvira show. Because of the Monsters coming back recently, and because of the Addams Family gang and an R-rated horror reboot, it would be a good idea you doing it with Elvira because of her still looking young. With you making it a spoof on sitcoms like the original unaired pilot of the Elvira show, with her being a horror TV host, with her also being a sidekick on the side at a DVD store at the horror section near it. So you do her doing her opinion on other horror genres as in other horror franchises, and her also interacting with other people at the show. And with her needing to live with being a witch on the modern day, and with everyone knowing her being a witch. Some people would be against it for it, and for her knowing her being a good guy because of it, and some people would be with her because of her being a good person and because of her being a witch. It would be nice having her interact with a bunch of nuns, and still do her the other horror stories just with the other stuff with Elvira in the show. With you doing her having the same cat, and her being like a mother to her niece, and finding out what happened to her niece's parents, and with her niece finding out that she's a witch, and with her finding out that she has a niece, and with it being an R-rated horror show, and you also are doing her using her magic to help the people in Hollywood. With Cain and Abel from DC Comics, Cain is history's first murderer, and Abel is the first victim. With him introducing such a terrible concept into the world, how he is stuck with the House of Mystery, same thing with Abel and the House of Secrets, because he wouldn't stop killing Abel because of him being reminded of the reason why he killed him. With them telling horror stories similar to Tales from the Crypt Keeper and Elvira. With John Constantine inheriting the House of Mystery from his family, and Cain being like a servant to John Constantine. With still being history's first murderer, but the also Mystery getting him to do it with the Black Orchid, and which would be the spirit of the House of Mystery, which would decide it wanting to experience humanity, so it creating itself a body for it. Abel and Zatanna in the House of Secrets. And Cain and Abel with help of Zatanna and Son Constantine stopping supervillains, and then not telling stories in their own self about horror DC characters and one-shot stories. And you would do Cain become a good person because of him working under John Constantine, and who would be in charge of the House of Mystery, and it would still have its connection to the dreaming. Same thing with Zatanna and Abel, but with the House of Secrets in the dreaming. And Elvira would be with the third house, and the same thing there. And with the new house for the Night Tales event, it would have the Tales from the Crypt Keeper, and the Old Witch, and the Vault Keeper, and all of them still having the relationship to Dream of Madness. With them doing what Dream said, and them still being in the Dream Dimension, but them still doing what John Constantine says if it involving the House of Mystery. Crypty would be a combination of the later parts of the cartoon version of Tales from the Crypt Keeper, the later parts of the cartoon, and the live-action version of him, and from live-action Tales from the Crypt itself, combined with the comic book version of him, both versions of him. And both versions of the comic book version and of the Vault Keeper and the Old Witch would be combined with their versions and in the cartoon show version of Tales from the Crypt Keeper. And for the combinations you would do for the Amalgam universe here, Marvel's Morgan Le Fay being different in interacting with DC's Morgan Le Fay because that one has a son. Cain would have a rivalry with the Crypt Keeper because of him being more well known, and the Crypt Keeper would be just as Elvira for still looking good, but Elvira would make sure the Crypt Keeper being good, and the Crypt Keeper doing the same thing for Cain. And the Crypt Keeper would do his own stories, but on occasion him doing horror things, it's for how him doing horror and scaring them. The Vault Keeper would do tech horror stories, and the Old Witch would do horror woman stories, and so they would try to take the soul from an on occasion, maybe get the soul back in the end, and in the end they would all work together to get the soul back from someone else. Or them just sharing the soul and them doing different stories between each other. And the Vault Keeper would be a combination of his Tales from the Crypt Keeper version of him, and with the original version of him, with him having to cope with the original costume from that cell. And with him also having his steampunk and goth tech, but with a high-tech futuristic technology mixed with magic in there. With him also being more similar to the Crypt Keeper. And for the Old Witch, you combining the original version of her with the Tales from the Crypt Keeper soul version of her, with you just doing her cloak over the Tales from the Crypt Keeper soul version of her. With her just using magic for the Vault Keeper to be the opposite of her because of her using technology and magic. And you doing her being more original than the other guys. There's still being a rivalry between them, but it being obvious them being friends. You're making it that Elvira is a witch and a vampire, her finding the girl's family, and her also staying with Elvira with her family and them being a family. You're also keeping the edge to it, and you showing how bad cops are with the police, see having a grudge against Elvira, and her nemesis being someone jealous to her, and someone the head of the neighborhood community. And he's finding out that because of them being creatures and still being good people. And for the opening theme song and opening, you do it the same way as the original, how Elvira's cell's opening, but with both of the cartoon songs from the original Tales from the Crypt Keeper and the original Tales from the Crypt Keeper songs with its lyrics, but with the rock and roll version, and the Free Homes Elvira song, and Elvira Mistress of Darkness song, sung by Elvira and the band. Folklore Town. The opening and the ending. Elvira did show up in the original Fall Guys special, so you could so it would be the perfect time for you to do an Elvira show now, if you referencing that. But you're doing a good job of it this time and with the show, so you're not messing it up and doing a good job of it. It's being good you're doing it. So you're doing it for the fans, and the fans would like it. And just going into depth with how it being good, Elvira being Tom and Jerry's owner and working together with Scooby-Doo, which she already did in some other Scooby-Doo movies. And it would be good Tom and Jerry having a good owner for once. And I know this part has more horror in it, but just as making sure me paying off the Christmas gift to you, for me covering all of it. And for me covering all of it for it being the best Christmas gift to you. And don't worry, they're being added Christmas parts of the video, so they will be, so it's still being a Christmas video. Me just making sure the crossover part is good. And I'm just getting this part out of the way so I can focus on the crossover part and Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry in general later on in the video. The other Scooby-Doo movies you can do them going to a fairy tale theme park, and under it is a whole hidden world. Now then it turning out they're actually being real magical creatures there from fairy tales, with only some of them being robots. With the theme park being built over it because of them finding it when they were building the theme park, and them doing the robots there for the theme park, but then them reusing them to keep the other magical creatures there. But then the evil magical creatures there would find out about the real world and trying to take it over with the fairy tale land. So then Scooby and Saggy, Velma, Daphne and Fred are working together with the good magical creatures there to stop them. Them using Fred's traps to defeat them and put them in prison there, it means them also going back to the real world with making sure that the fairy tale land was closed off. And with the fairy tale creatures already being happy being there. Then you could also do Scooby-Doo dealing with some rigged sports games because of some monsters canceling the games, and injuring athletes, and doing terrible things and scaring them away. So them helping some sports teams there, with them needing to play a game against a whole monster team. Then them trapping the monsters and unmasking them. Also doing a movie where them fighting against the boogeyman himself, with him kidnapping people and him doing terrible things to them. Then when they catch him and unmask him, the guy wanted to be a boogeyman and to go nuts for events and for going out trying to scare kids all the time. And because the kids don't deserve it, the grown-ups do because of them doing terrible things to kids. Scooby-Doo visiting a friend at a military base, and the military themselves was needing to get Scooby-Doo's help with it because of him being an expert at this specifically, because of them dealing with gremlins from World War II destroying their vehicles and weapons. And so them needing Scooby-Doo to solve this mystery, so it not destroying the military base. Gremlins should be perfect for it because they were already around during World War II. And because of them being created in World War II specifically, it being perfect for goes for the military specifically. Scooby-Doo would stop them while they were on a plane, and which you would use for a reference to the Twilight Zone episode. And the Gremlins would also be similar to the Gremlins from the Gremlins movie. Then Fred would do a trap for them, and by getting Velma to make it that the technology them messing would blow it up when them trying to mess with it. And them getting stuck to it, and it also unleashing a bunch of traps. Then they would find out that the enemy agents from that country sent to sabotage their country's military to help their own country. You could also make it that Mystery Incorporated was taken into a candy factory to solve a mystery there of a candy monster. Second, Scooby getting sent at a specific part of it, but then them reuniting with the rest of the gang, and them managing to eat the candy monsters there. Them also managing to eat his candy weapons, and them also eating the candy traps him doing to them, and then them managing to eat the actual candy monster, then it just turning out it being some people in a suit. You could also do Scooby-Doo being at a toy shop, helping them to solve the mystery of the evil toys there, with you also doing some horror toys, and this would be perfect for a Christmas movie. But then them making a part of the trap, Velma using good toys to go against the evil toys, and them starting the bad guy in the end, and them unmasking him in the end. Them stopping monsters from attacking a bunch of leaders at the world's countries, and then also stopping a bunch of monsters around the world, and then it turning out it being some people in costumes, and then trying to do it to take over the world. Someone gets them to solve a mystery, going up against mythical creatures like griffins, dragons, minotaurs, and Medusa, and then them trapping them and finding out it's just people in a costume. With Red Herring being someone from the giant, him turning out to be one of the monsters, and so Fred finally joining him as the culprit. And them also meeting the kids, and so Scooby-Doo goes to girl prison. Red Herring being a good guy now, and them being friends with him now, and then meeting the kids from girl prison, and so them finding out they are good monsters, and it being good, and them knowing that Second Scooby are right about some monsters being real. And for Tom and Jerry, you can make it. The reason why they don't talk since the movie is because every time when their owners find out, them being able to talk, them getting scared of them, and them throwing them away. Which is why them having so many owners. And for people like Butch and Meathead, they just thought it was because their owners treated them badly, so them running away from their owners. With you just doing that being the reason why, and with them actually finding an owner that doesn't throw them away, and knowing them being able to talk. You could also make it that Tom and Jerry just getting their girlfriends in the end without them losing them again, and them just as keeping their girlfriends in the end. So where Tom and Jerry and Spike get revenge of their owners for treating them so badly. And their owners as admitting them treating them badly, and them starting to treat them better afterwards. An episode where Tom and Jerry manage to do good without their owners. And then their owners find out how much them need Tom and Jerry, so them getting Tom and Jerry back. Episode where Tyke hang out with Tuffy. An episode when they're trying to get Spike a girlfriend, so him not being lonely, but then Spike finds out he's not lonely because he has a son and his friends Tom and Jerry, and him also being better without a girlfriend because of him not needing one. You also do an episode that explains Tom and Jerry are the ages of kids. It's in human years, but in animal years is them being the age of grown-ups. That's why Spike's only a little older than them, and him being old enough to have a son. Them also knowing them and being cartoons for why them not aging in real time. You also do an episode way into the future where them being age challenged, them being happy with their girlfriends, and them being at peace with each other, and them just being happy with their lives afterwards. The movies you can do with Tom and Jerry, you can make it that Butch, Art and Meathead and manage to use science and magic, them stealing from their owners, and to make it that animals are the dominant species on the world. And with them taking revenge on humans for treating them so badly, and them also taking advantage of them being the dominant species. Tom and Jerry and Scooby-Doo, who both also have big families, and if Tom and Jerry and Spike, and the rest of the Mystery Inc. gang, and they manage to bond over them both having big families, and they should do it in this crossover. And it would also be, it is good whenever we see that in their own show, so it would be good them doing it in this crossover. With you also keeping Flim Flang the same aim from the 13 Ghosts movie, but you keeping his history the same from the original 13 and Ghosts show, and you're also keeping Vincent Van Gogh the same from the 13 Ghosts show and movie, but you're also making it that him just becoming a horror actor like in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated afterwards. You're also making it the supernatural crossover is canon to Scooby-Doo, but it being canon in a time travel way, where it becoming canon, and because of it them going back in time for it. Scooby-Doo is so good because of it doing a good job at horror, with it being realistic horror, and them doing the mystery good, with them doing a good job of being detectives, and because of the characters, because of them being good, them being likable, them having good interactions with each other, and because of them having such good iconic personalities for people to relate to, and also personalities that are fun to see. It also makes them good crossing over with people, and their personalities mixing with them. The timeline of Scooby-Doo, it's starting a pup named Scooby-Doo, with the way they first met being the same in Scoob. Meeting up with each other, and then remembering each other in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies. Then the original Scooby-Doo shows happened. Then in the second and third live-action Scooby-Doo movies happened. Then the Scooby-Doo shows happened. Then the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo happened in the 80s Scooby-Doo movies, like the reluctant werewolf in Scooby-Doo Goes to Girl Prison. Then it being a little bit in the future with the Scooby-Doo quadrilogy, like Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and Scooby-Doo on the Cyber Chase. Then What's New Scooby-Doo happened, then Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated happened. Then everything that happened in Scooby-Doo happened afterwards. Like all the other animated movies and shows afterwards. And the only things that aren't canon are things that are straight up a reboot of Scooby-Doo. Like Rico, Scooby-Doo, and Velma are not canon. And the Scooby-Doo it was so about the baby puppies being the mystery gang and Go-Go Mystery Machine are not canon. But Scooby-Doo and Guess Who is definitely canon. The start of the franchise is Shaggy being 18 and Scooby-Doo being 17. Which is why Shaggy having facial hair and Scooby-Doo being old enough to drive, because in human years him being as old as a teenager, but in dog years he's really old, which you actually see in the Cell franchise, because as of him being an uncle to Scrappy-Doo and him being old enough to be Scrappy-Doo's uncle. And Velma being 14 at the start of the Scooby-Doo franchise, with Daphne being 15, and Fred being 16, which is why Fred is always driving, because of him being old enough to drive. But because the Scooby-Doo quadrilogy movies take place a little while into the future, then being a little older afterwards, it taking place after a few years and then being a little older for the rest of the franchise. Shaggy is 19 now, Scooby is 18 now, now Velma is 15, now Daphne is 16, and now Fred is 17. Which is why in only later and modern parts of the franchise do other people than Fred drive the Mystery Machine at that time. And me just taking this opportunity to talk about Tom and Jerry and the Scooby-Doo franchise in general, because of me liking them and to get people caught up on what's actually there in order for this video to make sense, and also for me saying how Warner Brothers can do the later parts of the franchise so they're not messing it up later, like the terrible reboots they did of it, like Rico, Scooby-Doo, and Velma. And me just taking advantage to do my ideas as for these awesome franchises since they've been going on for so long, and being able to do these because of them going on for so long. And Scooby-Doo is also a good franchise because of it making up its own thing in cartoon and horror. Apparently Scooby-Doo just kept Scooby-Doo on for a while, and it was as the Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island movie that managed to save Scooby-Doo, because of it doing something new with Scooby-Doo, it also doing the zombies being real with the original Scooby-Doo film for the first time. But what's new Scooby-Doo is the one and that managed to do a bunch of those things as the usual things for Scooby-Doo. So what's new Scooby-Doo also saves Scooby-Doo, because it being the reason why we still see these things today, and why us still seeing in characters like the Hex Girls today. Live action movies are also good and important because of it doing Scooby-Doo's thing in live action, and with them also doing some good stories. Here's why Matthew Lane is Psyche's voice actor in their animated movies and shows today. Scooby-Doo Mission Incorporated so that you can do Scooby-Doo good and do one of the best things with Scooby-Doo. Tom and Jerry would like it at first, and to get advantage of it at first, but after seeing how badly the humans are treated, and especially their owners that they actually like by the animals, as them using Butch and Meathead's magic and science and set under it to make humans a dominant species again. And with Butch and Meathead getting what they deserve in the end, and with Tom and Jerry getting appreciated by their owners is in the end. And you could also do Tom and Jerry helping their owner in the movie to stop a nuclear reactor from blowing up, and it almost blowing up because there's some people from a different company trying to blow it up, have to get at revenge on them because of them being business rivals, but then them saving it in the end and Spike getting revenge on the other guys for them. You could also do a movie where Tom and Jerry's owners are superheroes. We have seen Tom and Jerry's owners be superheroes before, but it would be good for a movie, especially since Scooby-Doo has done a bunch of crossover movies with Hanna-Barbera heroes and DC heroes, and you have also seen superhero crossover with Scooby-Doo in general, and Scooby-Doo to get its superhero movies in general, so it would be good Tom and Jerry getting a superhero movie, especially since you can just make it that the superheroes are their owners. With you making it Tom and Jerry actually liking their owners because of their owners being good to them, but then Tom and Jerry also helping their owners to defeat their villains and then being captured by their villains because of them managing to use their owners as superhero weapons. And you could make it that the only reason why Tom chases Jerry is because his owners get rid of him if he doesn't do it. Because when we saw him with Jerry without his owners, they were friends. In the Tom and Jerry cell, so you can make it that their owners finding it out and getting Tom and Jerry to be friends and then being okay with Jerry, so Tom and Jerry being friends. You doing that for a movie. also making it the reason why they became private eyes, as just so them not needing to deal with their owners. Also make it for a movie Tom and Jerry actually being private eyes, as with them stopping Butch and Meathead's crimes with the street other cats and the street kittens. They can also do Tom and Jerry fighting against the Universal monsters as in helping their owner Monster Hunter to defeat them, and because the original owners were witches and treated them terribly, then their other owner is a Monster Hunter. Then doing some episodes where Jerry was a monster hunter hunting Tom that became a monster in the Tom and Jerry show, but it would be good at them both becoming monsters and monster hunters for a movie because of them being friends, and it being better for a movie because of Tom and Jerry both being the main characters of the show, so it being good it being with both of them. You can also do a movie where Santa is Tom and Jerry's owners, and them also helping Santa around the workshop, but then them also helping Santa to save Christmas from the Christmas villains and monsters, and stopping them from ruining Christmas, and them also saving Santa from the Christmas monsters and villains, them also defeating the Christmas monsters and villains, and them helping Santa deliver the presents, and them also celebrating Christmas with Santa. I like the crossovers between Warner Bros. Movies with the Tom and Jerry movies. So, it would be good you doing something similar to that, but with them as the main characters of it. So you doing Alice in Wonderland and Dr. Seuss crossover with Tom and Jerry for an animated movie based on Tom and Jerry crossing over with another Warner Bros. Movie. And the Tom and Jerry crossover movies are good because of them crossing over with it, and also because it being good in the same way as the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars episode. And only the original mysteries from the original Scooby-Doo show still happen. Anything that happened in Mystery Incorporated didn't happen. And they did have mysteries afterwards, but it being different people then. And for different reasons, and some people still remembering the previous universe. Then still having their original clubhouse house from when they were kids, them just doing the other one from the live action Scooby-Doo movies later, then them still having their office from Scoob, with them mainly living in the mystery machine because of them traveling around the world. In the original show, they did have a town, but them still traveling all over the world in the original show. And all the Scooby-Doo shows afterwards making it them traveling around the world too, while What's New Scooby-Doo was the first one, and to do them traveling around the world specifically, and making it the usual them traveling around the world. Daphne does show her being more than just the good-looking girl of the team, and with her also proving her having some badass moments at times. With it also showing Velma can be beautiful too, and her also looking good at times. The team's relationship and how they work in the team is like a sundae. Velma is the peanuts and the Megan mentioned because of her being the brains of the team, and her actually being the detective and solving the mystery at that part of the team. Fred is the banana and the rocky road because of him just being a good job of being the leader, leading them and coming up with the plans for the team. Daphne is the strawberries and the strawberry ice cream because of her keeping the team together, and because of her evening out the other guys of the team, by being a good person and a good friend to them. And Scooby and Shaggy are the chocolate and vanilla, the chocolate fudge and the cherry on top, because of them being the heroes and the main part of the team. It being what Shaggy says in live action movies, but a good version of that, and actually Shaggy from the cartoon part of Scooby-Doo would actually say the thing I said too. And Scooby-Doo also has some other good cast in their voice acting, and also some iconic voice acting, and also a team for it. With Greg and Lyle Diffin doing Daphne, and so her being the best voice for Daphne. And Velma's voice actor actually being the reason why her having a good singing voice, as in her doing the smart part of Velma. Well, Frank Welker has been voicing Fred from the beginning, and while there have been other voice actors for Scooby-Doo, and before Frank Welker doing Scooby-Doo the best, and managing to do Scooby-Doo's voice the best. He did manage to get better at doing the dog sounds, and also him being the one that does the best sounding Scooby-Doo. And after Chuck Jones died, Frank Welker is the only one who managed to take up the mantle of the Man of 1,000 Voices. because of him also doing the voice of Megatron and doing so many other iconic voice roles, both from our childhoods and from animation in general. So while they will be able to get a voice actor other than him in these roles after him dying of age, no one will be able to replace him in order to do a good as job as him. It is good him doing this for a while, and same thing with his Megatron voice acting in that role for Transformers. It is good still having him now, and him going to continue keep doing this for a while since then. Same thing with Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, who is a good friend of Frank Welker, and who is also a good voice actor and is the definitive voice of Optimus Prime. If you're wanting to do a Christmas crossover with Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry specifically, you can do it with Santa getting their help to try to save Earth and Christmas from some alien dinosaurs from outer space. They're half man, half dinosaur, with them wanting to take over the world, and them starting with a museum for dinosaur art specifically, with them also being a threat to the military. But then, because of Santa using his Christmas magic and them getting help from Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry, with them setting a trap and defeating the dinosaurs by using their own technology against them, and them doing it to the leaders and blowing up some of their ships, they're managing to get rid of the alien dinosaurs and getting them and did not invade Earth. This would be good because of them dealing with real monsters. It is also good that it being crazy in Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry way, and the Santa being there, thing proves it being real, and it being a real threat, and them also needing to stop it and add in the Christmas theme. And for that crossover you can do is just Santa getting the help at the North Pole, with helping around the factory and him delivering the plans and them solving the mystery. He has some Christmas monsters and helping Santa defeat some Christmas villains. And that already exists. Isn't that already part of the Christmas is Plankton time. Some other parts of Christmas at Christmas. Them stopping the real Christmas villains and monsters from ruining Christmas and them helping Santa save Christmas, then them doing a Christmas party with Santa, and them also celebrating Christmas with Santa and Tom and Jerry and Scooby-Doo. Either one of these crossovers would be good for Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry, and if anything, it'd be good if you combine them all into one, and whether you wanting it to be big, their first crossover, them doing the crossover right, or you doing it for Christmas specifically. It just being good you doing any of these at all, me just doing more than one, and to make sure at least one of them can do it, so them picking either one, and so at least one of them happening. And not just them crossing over with each other, there's a bunch of other crossovers as they can do with other franchises, with me actually doing videos based on those ideas, as in me leaving a link in the description down below. Me also having some other videos that's coming up about that, so stay tuned for that and keep seeing my videos for that. Each one of these videos, me leaving a link to the idea videos in the description down below. Scooby-Doo could cross over with the Addams Family, the Monsters, is the Ghostbusters, the Looney Tunes, the Justice League, and the Wacky Racers. Because if Sony has a deal with Warner Bros. To do Scooby-Doo and Addams Family movies, they can do a deal with Warner Bros. To do a cartoon crossover between Scooby-Doo and the Ghostbusters, with them getting equal amounts of the money from it, and then both putting in an equal amounts of work into it. Tom and Jerry can cross over with the Justice League, the Looney Tunes, Yogi Bear, Top Cat, other Hanna-Barbera superheroes like Space Ghost and the Blue Falcon, and Wacky Races. And because there being another Wacky Races reboot coming up, you can make it that this is how Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry cross over, and with a bunch of other Hanna-Barbera cartoons, with it being a Wacky Races race between them and the other Wacky Races. That way, them still going through crazy places and it still being about the ways, is it mattering much more than it actually mattering, because of it being based on characters we actually care about, with a bunch of them being more than one of the main character. They have done crossovers with other Hanna-Barbera characters before, and they have done races before, but this is a crossover with the Hanna-Barbera characters specifically, and the Mystery Machine would be perfect for it, and it would also be good at them doing it against other Wacky Races that have Mystery Machines from other Hanna-Barbera shows, especially the ones they already cross over with. You could do a Tom and Jerry episode where Tom and Jerry finally stand up to their girlfriends, and because of it, them actually getting their girlfriends in the end. Episode where Tom's owner gets rid of him, but then they find out how much they need Tom because of Jerry doing things against them. Then Tom looks like he got rid of Jerry, but really him keeping Jerry and him and Jerry being friends afterwards. After his owners get him back and not throw him away again. An episode where Tom and Jerry talk to their owners, and because of it, them having a different relationship, but then in the end, their owners think they hallucinated it, so they go back to not talking with their owners. An episode where Tom and Jerry talk with their kid owners, and then staying with their kid owners because of them talking. An episode where Tom and Jerry actually get revenge on their owners, is by helping someone else get revenge on them. An episode where we'd see what would happen if animals was the dominant species instead of their owners. An episode where Tom and Jerry actually have a good owner for once, and an episode where Tom and Jerry's owners want them to be friends, so them actually staying friends this time. And for the Tom and Jerry movies you can do a Tom and Jerry movie where their owners being superheroes, and you can also do some crossover movies with them crossing over with people like the Justice League and Scooby-Doo. Like with Scooby-Doo and Crypto 2, which is a good modern Scooby-Doo crossover movie. You can do a movie where their owners are some horror icon and are some monsters in general. You can do a movie where them helping Santa to save Christmas and them helping Santa go against Krampus as the Abominable Snowman Gremlins and an elf on the south. And there were gingerbread and men and some evil toys and some dragons and elemental monsters. You could also do a Tom and Jerry movie where them fighting against giant monsters and them helping Santa deliver the toys with his ninja nutcrackers, the elves, as the reindeer, Mrs. Claus, as Jingle Bell, his daughter, the Buzzwhite Donkey, the Purple Plum Fairy, and Jack Frost and Frosty the Snowman. You could also do a sports Tom and Jerry movie. And the Tom and Jerry franchise is so good because of it being like a real life rivalry, but you're not always friends with someone, you're not always enemies with someone, but you having a rivalry with them and you being willing to work together with them at times. And it is good showing kids that you do need to work together with your enemies at times. It is good because of Tom and Jerry having their own part in Squatch and Shred's cartoons and in cartoons in general, with it literally being a cat and mouse game with the cat literally chasing the mouse. And because of us actually finding pets there, and because of them not talking like other cartoon animals, and them acting like humans at times. Thus, Tom and Jerry have the most iconic cartoon rivalry, but they are willing to work together against a common enemy for an owner them liking. And it being the only other Hanna-Barbera show that's still going on with Scooby-Doo, and it being one of the only franchises that's as big as Scooby-Doo. And it's the only other franchise that has as many crossovers as Scooby-Doo. It's the only other franchise that can go toe-to-toe with how iconic Scooby-Doo is. It's good Tom and Jerry having a different own in every different part of the franchise. It is also good there being other characters like Spike, Tide, and their girlfriends. It is good seeing them with their girlfriends because of them actually doing it right, their girlfriends being a girl version of them. Because of them being animals and them being good for each other because of them not talking like Tom and Jerry. It also hoping that Tom and Jerry could be a Squatch and Shred's cartoon like the Looney Tunes at times, and other times it being a usual cartoon like Scooby-Doo. It is also good Tom and Jerry interacting with other characters, as especially the animal characters, as like Butch, Meathead, and Tuffy, and the kittens. It is also good seeing the relationship between cat, mouse, and dog, and also seeing it actually being done literally in cartoon in an actual way. While Tom isn't as good of a person as Jerry, he is more willing to have fun than Jerry, and Jerry is more of a good person than Tom, and he is more willing to do the right thing than Tom. Spike, I guess, a tough guy, but him still being a good person, him caring about Jerry, and him just wanting Tom to not do terrible things to Jerry, or his son Tight. You're also making it looking like his son can't talk because of him just being a kid, and so to him talking in dog speak is how him talking at that time. They're turning out him actually can talk, like him just talking like a dog because he is a dog. It also shows you that you should treat pets good and that animals do have rights because of Tom and Jerry being good and them dealing with their terrible owners. And Scrappy and Toffee are similar to each other because of them being the nephews of the main characters, and them being kids of the franchises. So it's showing how similar they are to each other because of them interacting with each other, and it also making it that people are trying to like Scrappy, and like how them loving Toffee. But Tom and Jerry, it would be good if you doing a Tom and Jerry show with Tom and Jerry talking and with Robin and her Baba. With them also taking in Spike and Tyke like as their pets too with them. Because since we've seen so many different versions of Tom and Jerry, it'd be good in them being more original of them doing the Tom and Jerry movie, and it would be good them having some owners actually care about them. This would be a good plotline for the Tom and Jerry show in general on its own, since the Tom and Jerry movie is different from the other parts of Tom and Jerry. Plus, it would be good Tom and Jerry actually being friends with each other and them actually caring about each other. And it would also be good if you doing a Tom and Jerry crossover show, because if Scooby-Doo gets 2 crossover shows, it would be good Tom and Jerry being able to do it too. Tom and Jerry does crossovers too, and it would also be good seeing some Tom and Jerry crossovers. The Tom and Jerry crossover movies are good, and it would be good seeing Tom and Jerry crossover other parts of Hanna-Barbera, since Tom and Jerry is also not an iconic part of Hanna-Barbera. With you just making it the guys they cross over with is just the different owners in each episode. You could also do Uguchi as the actual girlfriend of Saggy, and her just being in college for where she's been all this time. Because of her having a good relationship with Saggy, and because as you don't have to do with Velma dating him, or him dating Velma's sister, and because of Saggy actually being able to stay with her unlike with his alien girlfriend. And you could also do the Hex Girls as actual witch vampires, with them helping the gang stop monsters on occasion, and with them still being a band, them just actually being vampires now, and them using their magic to help the gang solve their mysteries. And with them meeting up with the kids that Saggy and Scooby were with, and Scooby-Doo goes to Ghoul Prison. With Saggy and Scooby showing that they are good kids, even though they're monsters, and they're being good monsters in the world, and that Saggy and Scooby actually dealt with real monsters more than the rest of the gang, so that's why them always thinking that the monsters are real. Because if there have been times when the monsters turned out to be real, and because of them thinking they're the little boy that cried wolf, and no one is going to believe them until they're eaten. And because of it being so convincing the things the other guys in costumes does, and the rest of the gang just acknowledge that even a guy in a suit can be dangerous. And you could also make it that the ghosts in these worlds are based on real world monster myths, like the ghosts of Jack the Ripper, and the ghosts of Mike the Spike, and the Black-Eyed Children and Elsa Bomb, Legend of the Mannequin at Mexico, and the Boghound from Ireland, and the physical embodiment of death and the Ferryman. You can also have an episode where they fight against a giant monster, an episode where someone in a costume gets hit in the head and thinks they're an actual monster, someone being a monster to go against a big evil company, someone being a Scooby-Doo monster to become a supervillain, an episode where Verona becomes a Velma for people going against Scooby-Doo for wanting revenge for him solving their mysteries, and you're also doing another episode where the people that Scooby-Doo solve the mysteries of work together to try to get revenge on him. You can also have O'Reilly here to make him a usual Scooby-Doo character, because he would come in handy in them solving their mysteries because of him being an adventurer. He is similar to Indiana Jones, and it would be good, and he would come in handy because of them traveling around the world so much. It would be good there being some other recurring characters in Scooby-Doo, and it was because of the Hex Girls showing up in Let's Leave Scooby-Doo is why they became usual recurring Scooby-Doo characters. You can also use this to make Scrappy-Doo look good, and you doing a good version of him, and with him actually acting like a kid and him looking more like a kid, With you doing a story where Scrappy-Doo finds out it being okay that Scooby-Doo isn't as good as he thought, and that he is as good as he thought, because even though Scooby-Doo is a scared cat, him learning to be brave for his friends and family. For the movies, you could do a movie about Scooby-Doo versus the Boogeyman, a Scooby-Doo fairy tale movie, a movie where Scooby-Doo fights against all the Universal monsters, a movie where Scooby-Doo fights against a bunch of his original monsters but them being real this time. A Scooby-Doo movie that takes place at a toy shop, a Scooby-Doo movie that takes place at a candy factory where them fighting against a candy monster, a sports Scooby-Doo movie, and a Scooby-Doo movie where them going up against mythical creatures. Daphne would use her fascinators to help the gang by triggering traps and by triggering locks, like in What's New Scooby-Doo. And she would have some of the badass moments like in the other parts of the franchise. And with you doing her moments with Fred as usual, just as it being more obvious than being in love with each other. Fred would like traps like in What's New Scooby-Doo, and he would also have his catchphrase hold the phone. With him saying him still not having a catchphrase, but then them saying yes you do, hold the phone. Him being smarter than Scooby and Shaggy, but him still not being too bright, him being the bravest size of the gang, and while he is the leader, he is still a good character because of him caring about his friends, and him still being an excited character, and it only being enough of a character trait, him liking the van and him loving solving mysteries. Velma would be the smart person of the team, and she'd be the least likely to believe in ghosts, but she would be able to keep an open mind for these things, and admit when a ghost is actually real, when a ghost is actually real there, and here's still having some moments of her showing other kinds of emotions. Shaggy and Scooby would love all food, but there would be some foods them specifically hating. They would be scaredy cats, but they would be willing to be brave for their friends at times, and yet really counting and meaning something in the end, and then being loyal to their friends because of them just being glad to have friends with them. They wouldn't be the best mystery solvers in the team, and they would be the most not too bright guys out of the team, but they would still be important to the team because of Scooby sniffing out the criminals and Shaggy and Scooby being the bait for their mysteries because of the monster coming after them the most. Daphne and Fred are the ones in love with each other. On occasion, Shaggy and Velma are in love with each other. Scooby is usually in love with another dog, like somewhere else. And Daphne and Velma are best friends, and Scooby-Doo and Shaggy are especially the best friends out of the team. Fred has a good friendship with each of the members of the team, and they're all good friends with each other. You do their town being Crystal Cove and Coosville, and that town from the original show would be different parts of the town. They're then still going on a road trip visiting their friends and family members, and going to special events of their friends and family members, and also them traveling around the world at times. They're then getting stuck there at times and again getting stuck there on the way to other places. With all of them bonding over having such a big family, and with them doing mystery solving since they were kids. You're also doing that Scooby snacks are for humans, but dogs can't eat them, and that Shaggy originally made them after winning a contest they ended up everywhere. With What's New Scooby-Doo's version of how they got the mystery machine and why they painted it like that, and the first time them getting it, and then painting it from the live-action Scooby-Doo movies. And with them doing so many terrible reboots of the Scooby-Doo franchise lately, and them doing so many terrible shows lately in the Scooby-Doo franchise, they would need to do a good R-rated horror show version of Scooby-Doo, and me saying how you can do it, just so they're not messing it up and them getting it right this time. Because they have gotten it wrong a bunch of times before, so this would be good for us getting good Scooby-Doo shows again, and because of them going to keep doing Scooby-Doo, you should do it good. And so they're not ruining the franchise, and for them doing the actual Scooby-Doo formula for why with us doing Scooby-Doo in general. So us getting it being good, and if them keep doing Scooby-Doo shows. It needs to be a combination. And I'm also going to be saying how you can do some Scooby-Doo movies, so them not running out of ideas there. So them keep doing good Scooby-Doo movies like Scooby-Doo and Crypto 2, and them not just doing parts from their own franchise. It's like Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island. You could just do the usual Scooby-Doo show, but this time the monsters being real in every episode. With the gang finding out that monsters are real in the first episode of the show, and them dealing with the monsters being real in the rest of the show. And Scooby and the gang finding out they're being good creatures in the world, and that with some monsters, just because they're creatures doesn't mean they're not good people, from their past experience with good creatures, and then finding out about it in this show. Out that monsters are real, and then still being able to solve the mysteries of them. With them still knowing there being fake monsters out there, so not everything they did was a lie. And them also knowing that what they did was even more important, because of there being real monsters out there. And with Velma finding out that it actually being scientific monsters being real because of some monsters being created by science, and because of things like Aztec and Lovecraftian. And because some things were considered magic at first, but then finding out it being scientific. If you doing the same Scooby-Doo mysteries and them doing traps for the monster, just the monsters being real and them dealing with it like in Zombie Island. So I'm not saying that the Scooby-Doo villains are as scary as the aliens and predators or as slashers like Freddy and Jason, but there being a good thing about them that makes them otherworldly despite them being humans. But it does make you wonder what would happen if them doing an R-rated horror detective Scooby-Doo movie like The Batman but with Scooby-Doo and the gang. Something that stays true to the original version of it, but it takes it seriously. The directors who would do for it would be just like Joss Keaton, Drew Barrymore, and Sam Raimi, and James Gunn, who did the live-action movies, and has learned his lesson, and is doing a good job with DC. And because of other people doing the DC movies too, he would do a better job with this one, and that directors would be perfect for it too, with you getting all directors to do a cartoon Scooby-Doo show, a live-action one, and even a live-action or animated movie of it. So you should give them a second chance with it, and with all of them, it fitting their style, they could do an R-rated Scooby-Doo. And because of them doing other things in horror, it would be good then combining those things with their horror movies to do a good R-rated Scooby-Doo. You should just do Scooby-Doo Plain Simple because Scooby-Doo Plain Simple is already good for a show. And if you really want to do something different with Scooby-Doo, it already being different enough and it being good at you doing the original Scooby-Doo formula but with the monsters being real. And it'd also be good you doing an R-rated Scooby-Doo show with them being in a post-apocalyptic monster world, the monsters being real, them dealing with the monsters being serial killers, because of it them also solving real-life crimes. With it being a combination of how they did Scooby-Doo R-rated and Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, and Scooby Natural. So it being done right, you having a good R-rated Scooby-Doo show, not like Velma. Them being a little older, like in Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island, with the monsters being real like Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, you're just adding in things without getting rid of anything like in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. And the R-rated stuff, like the blood and gores, as being handled like in Scooby Natural. With you also doing the usual, them being aware of the Scooby-Doo tropes, and them interacting with the crossovers. You can also do Scooby-Doo crossing over with horror icons and slashers from horror movies. And since Scooby-Doo has crossed over with everyone from Batman to the Harlem Globetrotters, it would make sense for him to cross over with Cujo. With them also crossing over with other franchises, with us seeing them in cameos, with them going around the world delivering the presents and helping Santa deliver the toys. As by us seeing the superheroes and other cartoon characters celebrating Christmas as with their friends and family at Christmas. And them simply enjoying each other's company and loving spending time with their friends and family. It's showing the magic and warmth of Christmas, and it's also showing us how these guys spend their Christmas, and it also showing these guys enjoying their Christmas. So there's actually a point to this cameo. It's not just a pointless cameo, or a throwaway cameo. You get something out of the cameo because of these guys crossing over with each other and us being able to see these guys. With us also seeing these Christmases around the world, and us also seeing and these guys actually having a great Christmas. And it making sense since Tom and Jay and Scooby-Doo has crossed over with so many of these guys so many times before. So acknowledging them being in the same universe, it just being in a different part and time of that universe. And because of Greg Weisman making everything that he works on canon, and him working on some of the Scooby-Doo movies, this is why us seeing a cameo of Young Justice in the original Scooby-Doo WrestleMania movie. Hey, so Scooby-Doo does exist in the Young Justice timeline, so it can cross over with it, and Young Justice even did a cameo episode 2 Scooby-Doo, and also Greg Weisman says everything that he works on is canon in the same universe, so Scooby-Doo definitely is canon to Young Justice. It making sense in Scooby-Doo deals with different kinds of crimes, and Scooby-Doo does with different kinds of mysteries. So him doing that while the Young Justice superheroes were saving the world from their supervillains, and him also busy solving a mystery when they were stopping other supervillains. Could also do a good job with the Christmas characters, as if you doing them interacting with them, and with them and doing their personalities mixing with each other. Santa would be heartwarming and a good barber to his kids, and being a very giving person. And Annie would be fat here. Mrs. Claus would be thin and a kind and sweet woman, and Anne here loving her husband very much. Rudolph would be experienced now and loving being the leader of Santa's sleigh, and us also seeing the other reindeer, which would be good friends with Rudolph, and having the personality of Tess as jet pilots, for example. With them loving pulling the sleigh, and with them actually liking that Rudolph is their leader. The patron saint of thieves would be one of the villains in this crossover, and with him being Santa's brother. But him being Santa for thieves in general, and him being a bad guy specifically. With Krampus working together with Santa specifically, Krampus being the opposite of Santa and him being the devil of Christmas. With him still caring about his niece Jingle Bell. The elves would be fun-loving and joyful, and them being intelligent, and them loving and doing toys for kids. Jingle Bell would be Santa's daughter, and her caring about what Barbara does, and having a better relationship with her Uncle Krampus, and about don't exactly see eye to eye, and being similar to Harley Quinn. The two brothers would be the two sons of Santa from Arthur Christmas. One of them would be militaristic, and because of him being militaristic is why him not taking up the mantle from his Barbara Santa, because of him not being enough of a jolly guy, and him not caring about the kids enough. Which is why Arthur Christmas taking up the mantle of helping Santa and with doing Christmas, because as of Arthur Christmas caring about the kids, being a jolly guy, and him actually doing the spirit of Christmas. Winter would be the guy where Santa gets his magic from, and him also doing Winter with Jack Frost. Him and Santa being friends, and you also showing how him and Santa being friends. Jack Frost would be a Jingle Bell's boyfriend, and with him actually proving himself to the other guys, him doing Winters with Winter, and him also proving him being a good guy for Jingle Bell, and him also proving him caring about Jingle Bell. He and Snow Mice would be fighting each other at first, but then them getting along in the end, and them being grateful to Santa for fixing their relationship, and them also helping he and Snow Mice and Jack Frost do Winter during Christmas time. And the Fire King and Ice Queen would be the other villains of this crossover, and with the other monsters and armies coming from them, and them being lovers, and them wanting to take over the world at Christmas because of them wanting to cover the world in ice. With you doing the Frost Giants, Snow Monsters, Elemental Monsters, and Gremlins is from them, and Elemental Dragons, and Boundless Snowmans, Yetis, and Wendigos. With them also having the Rogue Gingerbread Men and Evil Toys, but Sag and Scooby eating the Rogue Gingerbread Men with Tom and Jerry, and Velma and Fred helping Santa's elves to do good toys to fight against the evil toys, and Santa also fighting against them with some ninja nutcrackers. With them getting rid of their armies with an avalanche and a rock slide, them also freezing some of them, and putting some of them somewhere safe in prison, and with some of them actually being redeemed in the end because of it being Christmas, the time for second chances, and it being a time of forgiveness, and it also being a time of goodness. So them not needing to deal with them anymore, them saving Christmas, them making sure they're not a threat to anyone, and so this not happening again. With them saving Christmas in the end, and them celebrating Christmas in the end, them having Christmas party in the end, and them having Christmas again together in the end. With the three ghosts of Christmas, the ghost of Scrooge, Jack Skellington, and from the Nightmare Before Christmas, the Grinch from How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Santatron, that would be a Santa for robots, and Paws, which would be Santa for animals and pets, and Santa Claus, which would be a Santa for monsters. And then finding out how Santa knows if you're awake or not, is him just asking his robot with the purple film and Frosty the Snowman. And with it ending on Santa saying, Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night.